Calamari, salutations everyone! Squid here bringing you another video on the channel, and this one I gotta say it's an exciting one. It's the draft analysis for a league I recently joined. It's called the UPA, or the United Pokemon Alliance, yes. And it's run by JBWestside. Some of you may know him. He's more well known than me. So first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Squid the Feed. I've been making videos here on YouTube for something like a year now, and my content is mostly, I think it's all Pokemon still, and mainly Pokemon draft leagues. So I've been invited to this one. I'm very excited to show you guys my team, and overall I was the first pick, and being first pick in a league like this, it's finally my opportunity to use a mon I've been waiting to use for a long time now in draft league, and it's with no surprise that I picked Dragapult as a first pick. This mon is amazing. It's so versatile, and you can run like a different set every week, and you can still potentially catch people off guard. So for those of you who know me by now, you know I like my versatile mons, so I decided to go with Dragapult for a first pick because you can't really go wrong with Dragapult. So having Dragapult, I know I want to complete my Fairy Dragon Steel Core right away, and I had to wait a long time because we were 20 coaches for this league, and so I had to basically wait 38 picks until I got my pick once again. And once I got my pick, I knew I wanted the Galarian Weezing for my Fairy type. First of all, it's one of the best Urshifu counters that I know of, and Urshifu is allowed in this league. So, and I've been really itching to utilize it, so that's why I basically picked it. And to complete my Steel Fairy Dragon Core, I knew I wanted a Steel that could set up rocks, and at the same time that could eventually benefit from the synergy of the Weezing Levitate, and at the same time could protect Dragapult in some way, and that's why I grabbed the Cobalion. Grabbing this Steel type does leave me with a Steel type that's not resistant to Flying and Fairy, so I have to have that into account, and I will later down the line patch up that weakness. And the Cobalion is actually amazing because if people want to just knock off against my team, I will receive a boost if they predict wrong, and at the same time Sucker Punches or Dark type attacks that are headed Dragapult's way will be further protected by the Cobalion while I get a attack boost. So that's really nice. And these 3 mons, I had my core completed. I feel like they synergize well with each other. And from the points that I have remaining, I do have a lot of them remaining because my Cobalion and my Weezing weren't the picks that cost the most points in the draft. So I decided that next I wanted my bulky water because there was a pretty good bulky water available that I picked, which was Milotic. But later down the line I ended up trading the Milotic for Suicune. Main reason I did that is because Suicune is one of those mons that even though you have on your roster and you won't bring it every week, it still forces prep out of the opponent. And because of that, it has its value every week, even if you don't bring them to the battle. That's the main reason I decided to trade the Milotic for the Suicune. They are both amazing. I'm kind of fearing that I will lack something that Milotic had, which is slow momentum. But at the same time, I'm really feeling good about the Suicune here. And I'm really hoping to use it in another way that's not substitute Calm Mind. As I said earlier, I can be very creative with my sets, so be prepared to expect something unexpected, even out of a Suicune mon. And next up, we actually have the pick that you guys all been waiting for. It's the Pikachu. And I picked Pikachu in the 5th round. And that may seem crazy, but I did have my reasons. My main reason is I'm used to having low amount of points or having to, in some way, manage my points carefully in a draft. And I gotta say that I definitely undervalued the amount of points that we were given in this draft. So I thought that picking Pikachu in the 5th round actually made sense because it allowed me to save points to spend further in the draft and to get really good picks, value picks out of the remaining picks that I would have. Thing is, that kind of backfired because a lot of the ones that I was looking at went in the next 2 rounds when I was waiting for my next pick. But oh well, you live and you learn. What can you do? At the same time, I decided to pick Pikachu as my 1-pointer because I think Pikachu as 1-point mon is undervalued. And that was basically the reason why I picked Pikachu, because it was a mon that being at 1 point was undervalued for me, and it allowed me to save points to further complete my draft the way I wanted. People may not believe me when I say Pikachu is actually amazing, but I've been having some lessons with Mr. Sventhun. If you don't know him, he's the owner of the PAC League, the most competitive league that's around the Draft League NL site. So he's been utilizing the Pikachu amazingly in the YCL, and he's basically seeing his performance with the Pikachu is what inspired me to pick it for this draft as a 1-pointer that could potentially have a lot of value. Since I had still plenty of points left, I had to consider my options and really define in what way I wanted my draft to go. And the next 2 things that I thought that were most important were getting a ground type and getting a dark type. A dark type was hugely important because I have the Dragapults that I had to protect. Even though I have the Cobalion and the Weezing, dark type resistances are not too few. But before that, I picked my ground type because this was actually, I think at the time it was the highest point available mon, so I decided to grab it before anyone else got the idea. And I decided to pick the Mamoswine because ice and ground coverage for stabs are almost unresisted in the metagame. There's like 5 to 10 mons that resist both of the Mamoswine's stabs, and it's a second rocker, which I really appreciate in this team. And it has really reliable priority. Dragapult also, but priority is never too much. And yeah, Mamoswine is just amazing. It's going to function as a wall breaker in many cases, and I'm really happy to utilize it. Mounte definitely approves of this pick. And for my dark type, I decided to go with Umbreon. Actually, the Weezing, Galar, and Umbreon core form a really defensive core that's tough to break, and I like it very much. At the same time, it's a more bulky core and team than I'm used to having, so I don't know how well I will function with them. But the main reason I picked Umbreon is because it was the best dark type available at the time, I think, that also fitted my team. And it was just 9 points, and I think Umbreon is definitely worth more than 9 points. And at the same time, it's a slow momentum user because dry passing is allowed in his league. So slow momentum will actually allow me to pivot into my more threatening mons, such as Pikachu. and it's basically that. Umbreon is amazing, it's a very good special wall, and I expect to utilize it very much during the season. And after I picked the Umbreon, I decided that I wanted a flying type, because flying types are amazing, preferably a flying type that had defog. Unfortunately, the flying type that I wanted to pick was picked right before me. Thank you, JB. I really appreciate you taking that Aerodactyl from me. But to compensate for the Aerodactyl, I picked Braviary. After I picked Sceptile. Sceptile having the 120 base speed, it's something I appreciate very much. And that Unburden boost will come in handy because I have the Misty Terrain from the Weezing and I can proc from it. Besides that, it's actually a very versatile mon in the way that it can run both physical and special sets. So I may run a special set 1 week, I don't know, I'll think about that. And the other reason that made me pick Sceptile is because I don't really have to run the terrain in order to proc the Burden boost. There's other ways that I can do that, and I've been in the lab doing some experiments on how I can do that, and I think I will potentially catch someone off guard 1 week. I hope. That means that my prepping work was actually good, so if that works, it's amazing. And here is the Braviary. It's another remover on my team, which I was quite lacking actually, because at this point I only have the Galarian Weezing for defogging purposes, and I don't want to run defog on Weezing every week. So having a second defogger is actually amazing, and I will eventually run triple down on removal by going into not the Magmartyr, but the Magmartyr was picked first. Sorry. So Magmartyr. There weren't many fire types available at this point because all the good ones were out. Cinderace is Blaze ability only this league, so that was not an option that was picked early draft. Entei was also picked 1 or 2 rounds before I picked my fire type, but at the same time I really needed a mon that had a really high special attack. Magmartyr has 125, so it fit my team really nicely as my fire type. And next, the mon that I tripled down on removal was actually Starmie. It's a second water type, but I don't mind. Suicune and Starmie fit different roles in the team, so having them both as water types doesn't really bother me. It's also a psychic type, so the psychic stab may come in handy 1 week or the other. And it's a very fast mon with rapid spin, and I may want to run Toxic Spikes 1 week, so I will prefer to have the rapid spin on that week instead of defog. And it's also a very good supportive mon, and because I already have many threats on my team, I won't fear running supportive sets on the Starmie, and they will, in my opinion, fit quite well with the team as a screen setter, as hazard removal, as reflect type shenanigans, something like that. The Starmie will definitely come in handy 1 week or the other. And it's a really good mon that I was kind of expecting to utilize at some point. So I'm really happy I got it, even though it was this late in the draft. And for my last mon, I did foreshadow a bit earlier that I had a steel type that wasn't resistant to flying and to fairy. And I wanted a steel type that got both of those resistance covered. And with the points that I had available, Magneton was the highest steel available that could benefit me in that way. I actually didn't pick it because I needed a real electric type. I think I already had a real electric type, but Magneton will come in handy once when I want that specific resist for team building, and I want to utilize it instead of the Cobalion or instead of the Pikachu even as an electric type. So Magneton can be a really bulky mon with the Violite. It also hits really hard in the special side with 120 special attack actually. So in the last 3 picks I got that wall breaking potential covered with the Magmortar and the Magneton, which is really nice and the main thing I was lacking in my team. And yeah, I think this is basically what I wanted to say about my team. Here's the whole roster. Fun fact, I don't think I've ever utilized any of these mons in a draft league before. I know some of them quite well. I know a few of them reasonably well, and I'm really excited to use this roster. I think it's a really fun team. I think it has a really high prepping potential in me being able to bring something unexpected for my opponents, and that's the best thing I want in my team, is unexpectedness. And I'm really looking forward to that, and to have Pikachu as my kill leader at the end of the season. I don't know, we'll try. Yeah, so this is it for the draft analysis of the UPA. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still watching at this point, you're amazing. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, to follow my season in the UPA Season 2. And yeah, I want to thank JBWestside for inviting me into the league, first of all. And second of all, I really hope that I enjoy my time here and I get to meet a lot of different and experienced battlers in this league, because some of the battlers I will face are really good. And yeah, this is it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like on the video if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one. Squid jetting out.